Hello, my friend. Welcome to your sleep story. My name is Stephen Dalton. I'm an Irish storyteller, and it's my great privilege to be the voice that you listen to as you go to sleep tonight. I know a lot of you enjoy knitting and yarn, and even if it's not a hobby of yours, I'm sure you can see the cozy benefits of it. And so tonight, I present to you a cozy story about a lady who runs a slightly magic yarn store. I really hope you like it. Just one small thing. If you'd like to support my work, you can do so on Patreon. The link is below this video. Okay, let's do the relaxation session now, which will take a few minutes before tonight's sleep story. I'm going to count down from 10 to 1, and as I do, allow yourself to let go more and more. 10. Feel the support of the bed beneath you, or the floor, or whatever you lie upon tonight. But beneath all of that, feel the earth that is always supporting you, always there for you. Our home. And as you become aware of that constant support, see if it allows you to let go a little bit more now, to ease into this moment a little bit more now. 9. You are safe. You are okay. And in this feeling of safety, in this place of comfort, allow my voice to be an anchor of safety tonight. Know that my voice will only ever take you to safe places, to safe destinations, to a safe refuge of deep sleep. 8. Feel into your body now. Just notice anything. That's all you need to do. Maybe it's a tingling. Maybe it's a slight pain. Whatever it is, just notice. Maybe it's in your feet. Maybe in your legs. Maybe your belly. Your chest, or your face. And as you notice, whatever you notice, see if you're holding anywhere. And if you are, just let go a little bit more now. Seven. The day is done. Whatever has been, has been. Whatever will be, will be. But right now, in this moment, you don't need to think about the past or the future. Allow yourself the luxury of embracing this very moment. And of course, thoughts will arrive. And as they do, don't fight them. Know that they are a part of being a human being. Just see them for what they are. Thoughts. And watch them go like leaves on a moonlit river, or clouds passing in a starlit sky. Six. This is your time. This is your moment. Nobody else's. We are best when we give ourselves time, when we allow peace to be a part of our experience of life. So allow yourself to let go, to be kind to yourself, to know that you deserve this moment and this opportunity of rest. 5. Peace lives within you. It's just waiting to be found. See if you can find it tonight. And if you do, where does it live? In your heart? In your head? Have a look for it and notice if you can sense it. 4. Perhaps allow a little gratitude now. Gratitude for the simple things. The shelter you have tonight. The peace of this moment. The opportunity of rest. 3. Begin to engage with your imagination now. Begin to see a cozy, sleepy little town, and within it, a cozy, sleepy little yarn store. 2. Feel into your body one more time now. And and just let go of any residual tension or anything you're holding on to. Your body has worked hard for you today. It deserves rest. 1. Completely letting go now, as I tell you tonight's sleep story. There once was a quaint little town called Pine Hill. It was the sort of town where everyone knew everyone and didn't get much traffic from outsiders. Families had lived there for generations, and it was full of brick and mortar shops that lined the charming cobblestone streets. The people were friendly and welcoming, having built a hard-working community that promised to always be there for one another. Now, Pine Hill was a town that looked beautiful in every season. In spring, flowers filled planters in windowsills, and the trees blossomed buds of pink and white. Summer brought warm sunshine and festivals organized by the tight-knit community. In the winter months, the town was a beacon in the dark, with twinkling lights and joyful carolers going door to door. However, autumn was a time when the town really thrived. As soon as the leaves on the trees began to turn, the entire town would come to life with a renewed energy. It was almost as if the town was founded with fall as its muse. The red bricks of the buildings complemented the oranges and browns of the trees as their leaves were plucked away by the crisp breeze. Local bakeries and cafes stocked their shops with pumpkin-spiced delights, filling the air with the scent of autumn. It was late September now, and Althea had already decorated her yarn shop with pumpkins and leafy garlands. She placed hand-knitted sweaters and scarves on display in her windows so that people passing by might feel inspired by the cozy atmosphere. The shelves around the shop were packed with yarns dyed in burnt oranges and reds, mossy greens, and soft yellows. Althea hung twinkling lights from the oak rafters that lined the ceiling, and put handmade crafts that were made by the community on display near the great stone fireplace. Althea's yarn shop had been in her family for generations, and the building itself hadn't changed much. The shop was full of yarns and wools, which Althea sourced from the local sheep farmers in the countryside. She would receive the bundles of wool already washed and spun, but Althea was the one who hand-dyed every skein. She believed that colours could evoke certain emotions and qualities for a person. Althea was taught the ancient art of dyeing yarn and fabrics from her mother, who had learned it from her mother and her mother before her. It was a sacred practice in her family. For Althea, it felt as though she was breathing life into the wool, with each colour representing something magical. Reds, blues, and even greys. Every colour can be obtained from something in nature and imbued into the yarn. Then the yarn can be woven, knitted, or crocheted into something personal and beautiful. Now Althea was taught that colours could be enchanted to evoke certain emotions and qualities for a person. By soaking avocado pits in warm water, for example, she could get a beautiful blush pink dye, which she would imbue with elements of love and compassion, a yarn she might recommend to someone wanting to create something special for their significant other. Purple was a rare colour that she enchanted with power and ambition. Althea would use lichen that she found in the forest on the barks of trees to achieve a rich violet dye and recommend it to someone trying to advance their career. For Althea, dyeing fibres and wools was more than just a process. It was giving life and magic into a resource that could be used to create things by hand. Since the weather had become cooler with the autumn months, Althea's yarn shop had become more popular as more people were looking to make sweaters and cardigans to stay warm. Many of the customers were close friends of Althea, who would stop by to chat or stock up on their favorite colors of wool for their next project. Althea loved being able to provide the community with the tools necessary to create and inspire, and she especially loved giving a piece of herself by hand dyeing every skein of yarn. Everyone was welcome in her shop, and for those who didn't know how to knit or crochet, she hosted lessons in her store to anyone with a desire to learn. One particularly windy day, Althea leaned against her oak counter looking out of the shop windows as the wind pulled fallen leaves along the sidewalk. Althea really loved days like this, when the weather was particularly moody, but inside she was safe and cozy. She lit a fire in the stone hearth and put on a kettle for tea, admiring the juxtaposition of the strong winds outside with the calm stillness inside the shop. She watched as the mailman walked past her windows, clutching onto his hat so that the tenacious breeze didn't steal it away. If she listened closely, she could hear the howling gale beyond the double-paned windows, along with the skittering of the dried leaves moving along the cobblestone streets. A small meow brought Althea from her trance, and she looked down at her only store employee, a plump calico cat named Missy. Althea reached down and stroked Missy behind her ears, while the friendly feline rubbed against her legs. Missy came into Althea's life many years ago. She was a lost kitten that had shown up at the shop the same day that Althea's granddaughter, named Charlotte, had left for university. Althea had asked around for months if the multicolored kitten belonged to anyone, but no one came forward to claim her, and she had already made herself comfortable in the shop. Althea had a feeling that Missy appeared that day for a reason, almost as if she knew that Althea would be alone again after spending nearly every day with her granddaughter. Now, Missy was well known in the town as the manager of the yarn shop, although she just spent her days napping on the armchairs or watching passers-by from the window. With her orange cinnamon spiced tea brewed, Althea went and sat by the fireplace, its crackling putting her in the perfect mood for working on her current project. She was knitting a scarf for Charlotte, who was still away for her studies. She had always appreciated handmade clothing, and it gave Althea a sense of closeness with her granddaughter, even though they weren't in the same place. Althea had picked out red, brown, and yellow wool and knitted a pattern of leaves into the scarf. The red yarn, which Althea dyed by boiling beets in a copper pot, was imbued with passion and courage, qualities that Althea believed Charlotte would need while embarking on her studies. The brown yarn was colored using freshly brewed coffee, and the skein still held some of the rich coffee scent which Althea imbued with wisdom and stability. Finally, Althea achieved a yellow color by boiling onion skins and turmeric together. Yellow was enchanted to represent feelings of comfort and hope, especially during uncertain times. Althea believed that the combination of the three colors knitted together in a scarf would provide Charlotte with the necessary elements to succeed in her studies as she navigated the world on her own. As she worked, Althea reminisced on memories with her family. She smiled to herself as she recalled her granddaughter's first steps when she was a baby, wearing little socks that Althea had knitted for her. While she knitted, guiding the soft wool with her wooden needles, she imbued these feelings of prosperity and serenity into the work, so that every time Charlotte wore the scarf, she would be reminded of her grandmother's love for her. Althea was pulled from her knitting when the chimes of the shop door opening sounded. Althea looked up to see a young woman enter. She was fixing her hair, which had been tangled in the wind. Putting away her project, Althea got up and greeted the woman. She was someone that Althea had never seen around town before. "Hello," the woman said. "I hope I'm not disturbing you. My name is Amy, and I just moved to Pine Hill with my partner, and the locals recommended that I check out your shop to buy yarn for my next crochet project." Althea smiled warmly. "Well, you came to the right place. My name is Althea. I'm always here if you need anything." The woman thanked her, and Althea quietly took her leave to give her some time and space to look around. Amy perused the yarn shop's wares, examining the various textures and types of wool that was on display, organized neatly by color. She appeared deep in thought as she ran her hand over the skeins of yarn, feeling the weight between her fingers. Missy did her job as shop manager and came to check on Amy by meowing loudly. demanding attention from the kind woman. Amy smiled and obliged to the feline's demands happily, leaning down to scratch her chin. After some time, Amy sought out Althea. "Maybe you can help me with something. You see, my son is having a hard time with the move, and I want to make him something that will help him to feel more at home here in Pine Hill," she explained. "I'm thinking to make a sweater, since he likes to spend a lot of time outside, but I'm not sure which yarn to use." Althea nodded along as she listened to the young woman. "I hand dye all the yarn myself. If you like, I can dye some skeins for you to crochet a sweater. I just got a new shipment of wool in from the countryside that I've yet to color. If you come back in 2 days, I'll have some skeins ready for you," Althea offered, eager to help the newcomer. Amy flashed her a grateful smile, thanking the older shop owner profusely as they exchanged contact information. As soon as Amy left, Althea was eager to get to work. With Missy hot on her heels, Althea went through a wooden door at the back of the store that led to a small room where she did all of her dyeing. The workroom had a small wood-burning stove built into the wall. Its iron surface was blackened from decades of use. Ceiling-high cabinets and tightly packed shelves lined nearly every square inch of the room, holding bottles of potions and tinctures which Althea used to color yarn. Brightly colored powders and swirling liquids occupied the varying sizes of jars and boxes scattered about the room. Hooks on the wall held skeins of wool that were hanging to dry after being dyed. Near the back door sat several crates filled with undyed yarn. It was the most recent shipment, and it was ready for coloring. To the average person, the room might look chaotic and disorderly, but Althea knew the room like the back of her hand. She knew what was in every bottle and box, even the ones that were not labeled. Everything was carefully curated to Althea's preference. This was her life's work, and she loved every moment of it. Althea rolled up her sleeves and donned her apron, which was stained with various dyes. Missy took her place overseeing Althea's work by sitting on a nearby barrel with a knitted cushion on top. Her knowing green eyes glinted in the lamplight. With an armful of chopped wood, Althea started a fire in the wood-burning stove, stoking it until it was ready to thrive on its own. Then she placed a large copper pot full of water onto the stove. Already, her head was buzzing with the ingredients that she would need to dye the wool for Amy. She busied herself around the room, bottles and jars clinking together in her hands as she gathered her materials. Althea decided that for the first skein of yarn, she would dye it a forest green color. In the pot of water, she placed bunches of goldenrod, a vibrant yellow plant. Then she added some scoops of indigo powder, mixing it with the yellow from the goldenrod to create a deep green. She let the water get to a simmering point, stirring the liquid every so often, watching as the color inside became more vibrant over time. While she waited, she tended to the store or continued to work on her knitting project for Charlotte. Once the dye was ready, Althea prepared a second pot and a sieve with a cotton cloth. With gloved hands, she hoisted the dye pot up and poured the liquid through the sieve and cloth to filter the dye. Once the filtering was complete, Althea placed her already prepped skein of yarn into the dye. She watched as the white wool slowly absorbed the green dye, stirring it occasionally so the color distributed evenly. Before placing a lid on the pot to let it sit overnight, Althea closed her eyes and whispered the enchantment that she needed for the green wool, which she wanted to enchant with feelings of fresh beginnings and safety. Like a grove, rich and full, bring safety beneath a cottonwood and comfort from a mossy pool, blossoming youth and verdant truth. May it bewitch this wool. Althea took a deep breath as she let her words soak into the yarn. Opening her eyes, she placed the lid on the pot and set it aside. Then she moved on to her next color, which she decided would be blue to represent inner peace. she gathered woad and bunches of blue hyacinth and added it to a simmering pot. Althea was patient, as the process of dyeing was a tedious one. She repeated the steps that she had done hundreds of times before until the dye was ready. After adding the wool, she whispered her spell of tranquility and serenity into the pot before placing it beside the pot of green. She repeated the process once more to create a wool skein colored yellow using chamomile and dried dandelions. Once the dye was ready, she imbued it with a spell of positivity and optimism. Satisfied with her work, Althea cleaned up her workstation and left the yarn to sit in their respective dyes overnight. She turned out the lights and closed up the shop, taking her time to blow out the candles and extinguish the fire in the hearth. It was dark outside now, and the wind had calmed down, promising a quiet morning. Althea picked Missy up in her arms and brought her upstairs, where Althea had her private residence. She prepared a cup of lavender tea for herself and gave Missy a sweet treat, as was their nightly ritual. She sipped at her tea as she slipped under the knitted blankets of her soft bed. She picked up her half-finished book from the night table and began to read, to put her mind at ease. She promised herself she would finish the chapter, but sleep was more determined than she, and Althea ended up falling asleep with the book on her chest. The next morning, Althea awoke to Missy meowing for breakfast at the foot of her bed. And as she got ready for the day, she admired the morning sun pouring in through the window. She knew it was cold outside, but the rays of the sun on the orange and red leaves of the trees made it look as though it was warm. After tending to Missy's needs, Althea headed downstairs. Before opening the shop for the day, she went to her workroom to check on Amy's yarn. With gloved hands, she lifted the yarn out, wringing out excess dye before placing it in a bucket of clean water. She then went to the sink and washed each skein until the water ran clear, The colors were bold, but she knew that once they dried, they would end up a bit lighter. With the wool washed, Althea went outside to her backyard, where she had clotheslines strung up between two trees. She carefully placed each skein on the line and pinned them to keep them from blowing away. She decided to keep the old pots of dye, as she could reuse it for other skeins and put it away in storage. Althea tended to the store, lighting a fire in the hearth and placing autumn-scented candles throughout the shop, filling the space with the aroma of pumpkin spice and cinnamon. Althea watched the townspeople go past on the street outside. Today was a lot livelier because of the nice weather. She had many customers throughout the day who would stop in after visiting the cafe down the street, coffee cups in hand. Later that afternoon, Althea hosted her weekly knitting session, which brought together the local crafting community. All of her regulars attended, greeting one another with hugs and smiles as they carried bags full of their latest projects. Althea loved the knitting and crochet community in Pine Hill. It was a diverse and welcoming group of people from all walks of life and with varying levels of experience. To see everyone gathered around the fireplace with their knitting or crochet projects and sharing stories, well, it filled Althea with warmth and admiration. Yarns of varying colors and textures spilled from bags as everyone worked on their respective project. Occasionally, someone would ask for assistance or advice on their work, and the group would come together to help. Tips and tricks were shared from the more experienced members, while others shared ideas for patterns and designs. Althea brought everyone tea or coffee, remembering exactly how each member liked it. She placed a platter of home-baked scones and gingerbread cookies out so everyone could help themselves. The shop was alive with chatter and laughter from the group. Hands were busy with hooks or needles to create intricate stitches in a sweater or lace detail on a pair of socks. As the afternoon wore on, the group gradually began to disband, one by one. the members began to pack up their projects, tidying up their spaces and stacking up empty cups and plates, thanking Althea for hosting. Once the shop was empty, Althea's smile remained on her face as she finished cleaning up. The room still held the warmth of companionship, and Althea felt truly fulfilled to be able to foster such a kind and heartwarming community. She had a few more customers before she closed up for the evening. She tended to the shop, sweeping the floors and wiping down the counters before she turned out the lights and went to check on the skeins she had left out to dry. After collecting them from the clothesline, she twisted them up in an easy knot before packaging them nicely in a cardboard box. She then wrote a note for Amy on a piece of paper, detailing the story behind each skein and the magical properties behind each color. The next day, Amy returned to the store to pick up the wool. She was immediately in awe at the vibrancy of the colors in the box. The wool radiated forest green, soft blue, and warm yellow. And as Amy ran a hand over the yarn, she told Althea it was even softer than she had imagined. Amy gave her an appreciative smile as she understood how much care and attention went into each thread. She told Althea that she couldn't wait to get started on her project for her son, and that she was sure he would love it. Over the following weeks, as the crisp October winds swept through Pine Hill, capturing the town in the true heart of autumn, Amy came to visit Althea several times. Being new to crocheting, she would come to ask Althea for advice or guidance on the sweater. Althea, who always had patience and kindness to spare, would invite Amy to sit by the fireplace. Together, they would work on the project, sharing stories and experiences. Amy spoke about her son and how much it meant for her to create something by hand for him, so that he might always be reminded of her love for him when he wears it. Althea shared memories of her granddaughter, Charlotte, showing Amy the scarf she had made for her, which was ready to be packaged and shipped off. A genuine friendship blossomed between the two women, built on their mutual passion for crafting. Amy reminded Althea of her granddaughter and was happy to offer grandmotherly advice to the younger woman. Then, one particularly slow day, Althea was gazing out of the shop windows with a purring Missy in her arms. And as she watched the townspeople go about their busy days, she spotted Amy strolling down the cobblestone street, hand in hand with her son. The little boy was beaming with happiness, and he skipped joyfully beside his mother. He looked especially cozy, wearing a striped green, blue, and yellow wool sweater.